Alrighty guys, so how much you going today? So we're doing been asked to do a update video from about 3 years ago. Um, about the trespassers and the dad thing that was going on. It's a pretty, it's getting to be probably a pretty good video on my channel right now, which is surprising. The video's only got about, last I checked it was about 36,000 views, roughly. But the comments are coming in pretty good on the video. I get about roughly probably 10 comments a day on that video, and it's kind of surprising. I didn't really expect the video to blow up like it did. I wasn't even sure if I was going to post it to YouTube, but because usually I just keep those kind of videos as evidence anyway. But most of the time I do post it on YouTube, but it kind of depends. So, but anyway, I think everyone's asking for an update. I don't really know what they want for an update. I guess what's been going on between him and me is what I'm guessing. We're obviously not talking. He did try. He did say hi. He did say hi to me. I think that might have been earlier this year, or it might have even been last year. I don't really remember, but they were. He was. I don't know if he was. Not sure if that's his way of trying to apologize or not, but it is what it is. So, but I didn't really have nothing to do with it. I'm not going to. With idiots like that, it's kind of hard to, you know, try to talk to them. You know, it's not really going to work out. So, especially since he was trying to, you know, make it look like I'm guilty, you know, so, but yeah, what you guys kind of missed out, was kind of the fact, I was making my rounds in my field. I do that just about every day in the summertime. Obviously to see if there's been any more trespassers or anything like that, and I just check up on my land. You know, I got a right to, and I can do what I want. So, kind of wasn't really expecting that, and I happened to go out there, and I happened to notice there was a fresh set of tracks out there. Of course, they were going all over the field. I thought I had video on that, or at least some pictures. I might have some pictures. I might have to look into my little SD, or my little USB, whatever you call it, memory card kind of thing, and see if I got some pictures in there. I don't know or not, but I know I got pictures, or a video anyway, when I was talking to the kids. So, I know a lot of people were saying that I should have, you know, kicked his ass and yada yada yada, but the thing that you guys didn't see was the thing that when we were talking there, we were on top of the dike, and we have a dike that surrounds our town because we live next to a river, and of course it floods every year pretty much. So you kind of have to protect the town. So I was on top of the dike. I was coming home, you know, and that's where he kind of caught me up there in the corner. So, which is surprising. Usually, when faggots get caught like that, they usually want to run, you know, and they don't want to be seen. So, but what ended up happening is I seen the tracks in the field. So we'll go back to the beginning again. I seen the tracks in the field. I had to figure out who did it, you know, and what did it, what kind of machine. I ruled out a 4-wheeler, a UTV, dirt bikes, smaller machines, because these tracks were too big, too far apart from each other to be an ATV. That's usually what you see running around these fields is ATVs, dirt bikes, snowcats, those kind of things. But I figured, well, it had to have been a vehicle. And I didn't really think I was going to figure it out, because usually when they do it, then they run like pussies. So what ended up happening is I could tell that the tracks were fresh. They were fresh. They were basically made that day. And I happened to come home. Now over here, you can't see it, but there's this piece of property next to me that the car business bought. There used to be a car business here in town. That they did whatever with cars, and they had them parked here at the time. And there was a white Jeep sitting there, and it just happened that when you look at how much they ran over, or how big the tires were, it matched up to what the Jeep had. So I took some pictures, and I took some videos of the license plate and the vehicle and the kids. And because the kids came out, and I told them, hey, were you trespassing? It looked like you were trespassing over here. They didn't really deny it. They just thought it belonged to the young guy, which is the guy that's farming our land for us. He's pretty much just helping us stay in business, So, but he said the young kids that one kid anyway was saying that he thought it belonged to the young guy, which was false. If you'd actually use your damn brain, you could ask, and figure it out, and be like, that person doesn't own it, he's just farming it, Like, if you don't know a piece of property, you probably should go ask some people to see if they know who owns that land, or you should maybe go to the courthouse. Maybe they would have some information there to tell you, who owns it. You shouldn't just go drive all over it because you don't see any no trespassing signs and because you thought somebody else farmed it or somebody else owned it. Even if it was the young guy that owned it, maybe he wouldn't appreciate you punks driving all over it, It's like, really, they're just not thinking again, unfortunately. But I guess the dad was a little upset that I was cussing at his kids. Well, I was cussing at his kids, but the thing is I wasn't cussing at his kids as of calling them names. I was just swearing, saying, what the fuck are you doing? Kind of thing. That's fucking private property. Okay. I guess that hurt his feelings. I guess his kids didn't like it. Well, that's the kind of treatment you're going to get from anybody that owns property. And that's going to protect their property at all costs. Okay? I'm not going to come to you, I'm not going to go to those kids and pat them on the back, on the shoulder, and say, hey, just to kind of let you know, man, you're driving on private property. No, I'm going to drive you into the fucking ground. That's what I'm going to do. I'm not going to give him a kiss on the forehead and say, man, I forgive you. I know you probably didn't know. You knew. This is the problem. People, now I understand it for outsiders, and I'll explain what I mean by that. But people around here that live in this general area know our property. They know who owns it. They know. But they drive on it because they don't care. We unfortunately live in a world where it's no more, I don't care if it's private or not, I'm going to drive all over it, and I don't care if it does damages. I don't care if it does damage. That's unfortunately the way this world is going, and unfortunately it's pissing a lot of people off. But the main problem is, and like a lot of viewers were saying on that video, it's poor parenting. The father was not teaching his kids, the correct things. And that's true. He is failing as a father. His kids will end up being dumb like him, unfortunately. But maybe since, I actually did something, you know, I actually said something to those kids. Maybe they're thinking about it, you know, and they're not going to do it anymore. And they haven't been. I haven't noticed any more, you know, Jeep tracks down there, you know. So, and if you want to see the video where I was talking to the kids, that's actually in part one of the caught a trespasser and then the dad was yelling at me video. Then he got yelled at by the dad video. So, that's in part one at the ending. You can just go to that video and skip right to the end pretty much. You'll see it then. You'll see me talking to the kids. And you'll see the Jeep and everything else. So, it's just an ordinary 4x4 white Jeep. Jeep Wrangler, I think it was. I'm not 100% sure. It's an older style Jeep. It's got the square body kind of thing. It's not these newer ones. So, it's still, I think it's pretty much the ones that everyone's going for, you know, because they want to turn them into off-roaders. So, but yeah, that's the way it's going to be. You know, when you come trespassing on my property, you're going to get yelled at, and I don't care who the hell you are. Like I said, I don't care if you're black, white, purple, pink. I don't care if you're Mexican. I don't care if you're Chinese. I don't really give a fuck what the hell you are. You could be president of these fucking United States. You're not going to come on my land without permission. You know, unless you're having a heart attack and I happen to be out in the field and you have a heart attack, sure, then maybe come into my field and I'll call you an ambulance. But you're just not going to come joyriding into my field just because you feel like it. You know, it's private. You have to have a pretty damn good reason for wanting to come into my property. And having a heart attack seems like a reasonable one for me, but no matter what, you know, it's just, you can't trespass. And a lot of people were saying that the dad kept changing the subject all the time. I should have kept him on track, you know, kept him on that subject. I should have. Instead of arguing with him, I should have just said, man, you should stay to the fucking point. You came here to talk to me about your kids trespassing? Let's stick to the story. Why are you changing the subject? I agree with that. I should have said that. Should have made him stay on that subject. But the only reason why he was changing the subject was, one, because he was trying to put some dirt on us, which all that information that he was saying was false. Pretty much it was false. The only time we did call at 2 or 3 in the morning was when their semi-trucks were here unloading and loading cars. And they're not supposed to be doing that after like 8 or 9 p.m. Or even, it's anywhere from 7 to 8, somewhere around that range, I don't know. Their hours are still on the building. So, I don't look at it because I don't care anymore. But that was the one time we called, you know, that late at night. Well, you know, you're supposed to be telling your truckers to not come in after certain hours. This is a quiet town, and we don't want to hear semi-trucks coming in the town. People are sleeping. People can hear that. And they're also tearing up these gravel roads, and then nobody was maintaining them. So when you drove on it, you're doing this, and then at the same time you're getting mud all over your nice clean car. You know, and that pisses the person off when they've just cleaned their car, making it nice and shiny because they're going on a date or they're going to the fair. You know, or maybe they just want a nice clean car. You know, it's like, we don't want to go down a gravel road and then it's all freaking mud. Well, don't be driving your semis on it and then it wouldn't turn to mud then, because semi-trucks are a lot heavier than cars and they actually push the gravel out when they drive over it. Well, then it rains and then it turns to mud, and then you got another car driving all over it. Just eventually, it just turns into mud. So, but they're not doing that now as much. But whatever, it is what it is. But I know a lot of guys were saying that I should have kicked the father's ass. I should have punched him in the face. Sure, I could have done that. But the thing is, what you guys didn't see, which you know, maybe you guys wouldn't have known anyway, was he caught me on top of the dike. And that is actually public property, meaning anybody can go on top of it and drive on it, you know. So I really can't just hit him because I'm mad at him. He has to be the one to make the first move before I can defend myself. I just can't hit him because I feel like it, you know. If he was coming onto my property, it would be a different story. you know. But for kicking his ass, yeah, he does deserve that. But you have to know when to do it and when not to do it. You just can't do it because you feel like it. I know a lot of guys are like, oh, you should just kicked his ass. It would have felt good to do it, but it wasn't the time or the place to do it. You know, standing on top of public property, you know, and unless he made the first swing. If he made the first swing, then I have every right to defend myself. At that point, I can do whatever the hell I want because he made the first move. So I know a lot of guys were saying that I should have gotten his face on video and stuff like that. I should have, but wasn't really prepared for it. That's kind of the thing. The only thing I had to work with was my cell phone at the time. Usually I have a GoPro on my four-wheeler, and that's always recording. I do have to get a new battery for it, so been kind of just winging it with the phone. But yeah, I probably should have, but again, I didn't really think I was going to post it to YouTube. Kind of didn't really see doing that, but in a way I did. So I guess I kind of ended up doing it. So trying to remember what else people were saying. I know some people were saying that I was too soft. Well, you know, I was trying to be the nicer person, but that kind of quickly proved that wasn't going to work. So I have changed basically how I do it now. And there's some things I'm not going to say, but the way I'm going to handle trespassers is it's going to be a totally different. It's going to be a game changer. I'm still going to, you know, get them on video, get their face, get their color of their machine. I still do that. I still have video evidence from years in the past of people trespassing. You know, I saw somebody on YouTube doing that, and I was like, well, that would be a great thing to do on our place, is catch them on video, get their face. So I started doing that, and that does change people's attitudes quite a bit, you know, because they're like, oh shit, now we're on camera, and my face has been seen, and my vehicle's been seen, and if you got a license plate yet, that's been seen. You know, it makes them change their mind real quick about what they want to do, you know, and that kid knew that I was videotaping, you know, and plus I told him, you know, I told him, hey, I'm posting this on YouTube, you know, and that's the way it's going to be. So, I mean, I don't know. It's kind of it's been kind of a shit show after that. There was a lot of trespassing still going on. Things did go south a little bit more, but it wasn't really so much towards those people. See, now the kids and the dad that were talking to me, and this you guys don't know about, they are brethren. They're not just ordinary people like me and you. They are a clan, and they are, I don't know if their rules have changed any since the olden days, but nowadays they're doing more stuff, you know, that they shouldn't be doing. Trespassing is one of them, obviously. But they are drinking and driving reckless, and well, they're starting to get an attitude too. And of course they got cell phones. I don't know if they're allowed to have cell phones or not. And they're also not allowed to. Well, they're not allowed to do drugs. They're not allowed to drink, as far as I know, even though I think they are drinking now. And they're not allowed to have. They're not allowed to listen to the radio, the music radios, and they're not supposed to have TV. That's their clan rules. But maybe things have changed over time, and because I notice now that they are playing music, they are listening to music, and they're having cell phones. I don't have a problem with them having cell phones. I think that's fine, but I don't know what else they're doing, you know. I mean, it's okay for the adults to drink, but again, if they're part of a clan, that might be one of the rules that they're not allowed to drink, even as a adult. unless the rules have changed. I don't know. I'm not a Klan member, so I don't know. So, but I mean, I guess if they're allowed to drink, the adults, fine. But they've been letting their kids drink too. I mean, I don't know if they are now, like now, but a few years ago they were, and a couple of kids actually got seriously fucked up when they were drinking. And I think their parents put a stop to that because, the kids were drinking too much and then driving. Hello, drinking and driving is illegal, just like texting and driving is illegal. So what the hell are you doing letting your kids drive when they're drunk? You shouldn't be letting your kids take the fucking cars, But it is what it is. So, but yeah, so there's not really much to really talk about. Just, how he was being kind of a douche and whatever else. But that's kind of just the way it is. I mean, unfortunately, he wasn't taught very well either. See, the problem is, too, is that they're getting this attitude problem from the North Dakota side. And that's where a lot of the trouble started, which is where it's been happening all these years. Because they're, for the most part, there's ordinary people living in that town. And they've always caused us an ass ache. And I think it's kind of rubbing off on these brethren people, too. It's kind of rubbing off on them. And they're like, oh, we live in a small town, there ain't no cops hardly, and there's, people that just don't give a shit. So let's just go have fun and not give a shit about nothing, So, I don't know. It's kind of just a frustrating thing. So, but really all I can kind of just say is that, obviously we're not talking. The dad and I, of course we never were, really. And he's saying, if you guys watched that video, which I'm sure you guys have, he's saying, well, why can't we all just get along? Well, you can do that by obeying signs, and not trespassing. And for him saying that if there's no signs there, it's public access, it's not. I don't know at what century that was an actual thing. I mean, maybe back in the 1800s that was a thing. But this is 2019, and even back in 2017 that wasn't a thing either. He's just trying to throw things out there, to make himself look smart and thinks he knows more than me. Well, that's fine, but there were signs out there. There just weren't any signs in the big hayfield. Because there really isn't really a good place to put them unless you put a couple T-posts. And that's what I've been doing. I've been buying some standard 4 or 5 foot T-posts. I got one behind me right now. I'm saving that for another sign that I'm going to put up this summer. And those you have to drive in the ground, those T-posts and stuff. So I do plan on putting up some more, but the thing is that signs are not going to keep people out. It'll keep the honest people out, that's about it. You're still going to get those a-holes that are going to want to do it, and you're just going to have to try to catch them. Or you're going to have to just fence it off. Fence your property off, that's about all you can do. But the public access thing, or whatever it was that he called it, is a bunch of lies. That was never a thing. So, not in this lifetime it wasn't. Not in this century in time, it's not. So, I don't know what century he's stuck in, but he needs to, go and go to the courthouse or go back to school at least and maybe relearn some things. Because whenever you went to school, they were teaching you the wrong stuff. We've come a long way since like the days when my grandma was a little kid. Back in those days when she was a little kid, there was no internet, and the way you learn in school, what you learn in school is different compared to what it is today. So I think that guy, since he's a dad, well, he's up there in age. He's not like old. He's not like my grandma, but the things that he learned are not the way they are today. He needs to go back to school and relearn that, I guess, because he's still completely outdated. So, but yeah, it wasn't public access. It was private. And plus, I think he knew that. It's just that he was pissed off, about his kids trespassing. So, and that's kind of another reason why he always wanted to change the subject, was because he knew that his kids were caught. He knew that they were videotaped and and told to say the fuck off. That's just the way it is. So he was just mad. That's all that was. That's why he kept changing the subject all the time. But should have made him stay to the subject that he came here for in the first place. It's like, well, if you don't want me cussing at your fucking precious little kids from above, maybe you ought to teach them some stuff, Teach them to stay off private property. Teach them to read fucking signs, or have your kids go ask permission to be on the land then, or go find out who it belongs to. Just don't go and drive all over it because you don't happen to see a no trespassing sign within so many feet, It's like, seriously. We've always had signs up, it's just that we didn't have signs up, out in the hayfield, basically. So, but now we do. I got at least 2 up on the south east side, which is where the main ramp is at for us going into our field, and then we have one to the northeast side of our property, which is up along by the bridge. First, then we have a whole bunch along the trees, and then I put one up to the south of our property, where there's another trail there. But I do plan on putting up at least a couple more this summer, just in some other places that don't have any signs yet. Not that they're going to listen to them, but at least I think if it does get taken to court or something, you can show that, hey, they were trespassing because there were signs up saying don't trespass. It kind of just makes it harder for them to deny it and stuff, So, but yeah, I don't really know what else to say. It's just kind of been, that dad's kind of just stupid. I don't think he really knew what he was talking about. I think he was just kind of upset. I think he was just mad, not upset. He was just mad. So, but oh well, cry me a fucking river. I don't care, So I imagine his kids cuss too, because they get it. They learn that. If they don't learn it from school, they learn it from their friends. So I mean, if you don't want your kids to turn out to be a rotten egg, you need to teach them. It doesn't hurt to say, hey, don't go driving on property that has a no trespassing sign on it. Go get permission. Go find out who the owner is and ask them. Now, I know some people, there was at least one guy, or a couple of guys anyway, that were saying that I probably should have pressed charges on those kids. There was already 2 charges right there that I could have pressed on them. But I think the way Minnesota laws are is that they get a warning for the first time, and if they do it again, then it keeps going up from there. Then they start getting fines. And if they keep doing it, then yeah, it probably does eventually lead to jail time. A couple days probably, or or just that the fines keep getting heavier. They keep getting more expensive. But it really just takes the first time, and then they don't want to do it again unless they're really stupid. But they I think they do learn, But they're just having a hard time. Doesn't help that the father's not teaching them anything. Like, yeah, they're going to school, but I don't know what this school teaches them because they're not going to an ordinary school like I did. This is their own private school. They just hire teachers. So because they can't be teachers. They're, the adults, because you have to go to actual school to learn how to be a teacher too. So while they don't believe in going to a public school to learn to become a teacher, they want to learn stuff that doesn't require an actual teacher. Like, I suppose working on engines, that's something you can learn on your own. You don't need a teacher to tell you how to tear an engine apart and fix it. I mean, yeah, it's nice. You learn quicker that way, but I think you learn better. It's just digging in, doing it yourself. I think you just learn better. So, but it is what it is. Unfortunately, that's just the way it is. So, and the one thing I forgot to tell you guys, I was going to tell you guys about the outsiders. What do I mean? What do I mean by outsiders? What I mean by that is people that are not familiar with my area, or with any if they step outside their own area, and they don't know our area or somebody else's area, that's where a lot of trespassing can happen too, because they're not familiar with people's property around here, But unfortunately, I feel like even if you had signs up, they probably wouldn't listen. But if they're honest people, then yeah. But if they're still crooked and then they're not going to. But that's what I mean by outsiders. It's just that there are people from out of the area that don't know anything. Now, outsiders, like I said, would be somebody that is from, let's say, from Texas, and they've never been to Minnesota. This is where I live, Minnesota, and they come to my county. They know nothing about my county. That's where the trespassing can also come in, because they don't know anything, because they're not from here. So that's where the signs would come in, right? But again, if they're honest, sure, they'll listen, they'll stay out. But if they're crooked, then they're not going to listen. They ain't going to care. But that's what I mean by outsiders, is that they're not from here. And I think about 99% of the trespassers we've had over the years, they are from around here, and they know that this is our land, and they shouldn't be trespassing. But unfortunately, that's the way it is, because some people don't want to listen. So unfortunately, what can you do, right? Besides, catch them in the act of doing it and having signs up. I also think you should be packing heat. I do want to go try to get my gun license at some point where I can legally carry a weapon and have it just to defend myself and my property and my things. If you can get your gun license, I would recommend doing it. First you gotta have the brain smarts to do that, and I'm not exactly there, but I'm at least willing to try. So, and have a camera. If you have a cell phone, a smartphone, you have a camera built in it. So take advantage of it and use it. Even if you don't use it to take selfies or whatever, use it for videotaping trespassers. Get their face, get their make and model and color of the machine, and if they have a license plate, get it. Get it in the video or in the picture. If you don't want to show the license plate, you can just cut that scene out or blur it out or whatever if you're going to post it on the internet, but keep it for yourself, in case you should have trouble with them again in the future. But like I said, I'm changing how I handle trespassers now. Like in the past, it was just kind of like, what the fuck are you doing here? This is private property, don't come back, that kind of thing. Well, let's just say I'm kicking it up, a couple notches, a couple levels. I'm going to be asking a lot more questions than I used to, and that may piss some people off, that are trespassing. But when you're on my property, I have every right to ask those questions. And if you don't like it, well, then that means you need to stay the hell off, because that's what's going to happen again if you come right back. You know. So, I don't know. It's just, that's kind of my plans there is, I'm definitely going to be handling it different. I'm not going to be Mr. Nice Guy anymore. It's just, that's not going to work. I know some people are saying just to call, hold them there and call the cops. Well, the cops are just going to basically do what I'm going to do. And, except the cops are just going to give them a warning. I'm going to literally tell them to stay the fuck off, and if you come back, you're going to regret it, kind of thing, Cops are just going to give them a warning. That's the way it goes the first time out. Now, if they keep doing it, that's a different story. Then that's when you're going to have to get the cops really involved, and they're going to have to really start stepping in and really doing their job. So, but yeah, that's pretty much what's going on. It's done and over with pretty much. He hasn't said anything to me. We haven't really talked. I know that one time he tried to say hi to me or something. I didn't have nothing. I didn't even say anything in return. I just, if you're gonna play stupid with me, I don't have time for it. I have a ranch to run. I have property to take care of and watch. I don't have time to play these childish games. I don't. And he called me weak-minded or whatever the hell it was in that video. Well, he's weak-minded because he didn't teach his kids anything. And like everyone was saying, was that the dad should have just came up to me and just had apologized and said, well, my kids won't do it anymore. That's what he should have done, but he never did. That right there shows that he is not thinking, and he is very stupid. He's a poor father, and he's always going to be a poor father. And unfortunately, I feel sorry for his kids, because his kids are going to end up being the same way he is. And then when they have kids, their kids are going to be raised the same way. It's going to be an endless thing now, unfortunately. So, but yeah. And I know quite a few viewers were saying too that if they were to have gotten caught trespassing, their parents would have forced me to go apologize and fix any damages that was done to somebody else's property. That's the way it was back in the olden days. That's not the way it is today, unfortunately. That's a good way of being raised, because you're taught, that when you do something wrong, basically karma's a bitch and it's going to bite you back in the ass, So, but yeah, unfortunately the dad, he unfortunately did get kind of a big break from me. I mean, yeah, I guess I could have really ripped him a new asshole. But since he's already a major asshole, I don't need another asshole. I don't want another one to fall out. So, make things even worse. But, unfortunately, at the time, it was pretty much just like I was trying to be Mr. Nice Guy, and, I mean, the father, he kind of came at it the wrong way. That's the way I see it. He should have manned up and just said, well, I'm sorry, I'll make sure my kids don't do it anymore. Sitting there and trying to rub every stuff in my face is not making it any better for you. It's making you look like an ass. That's what everyone's saying, too, is that he's making himself look like an ass. Which is true. So, but let's just, like I said, that's just not the way it's going to go down anymore. If I catch another trespasser, even if it's the same kids again, or whatever, it's done and over with. Those kids are going to get it, and and I will be taking it to the cops because I have evidence from them doing it back in 2017, and they might do it again. And it's just more evidence put against them. And that's when we will be filing charges against them for trespassing and for damaging private property. Running over someone's crop, even though it's shitty hay and it's just grass, it's still somebody's crop. You know, that's our hay. That's what feeds our cows. You know, so, and by you running it over, it just pretty much well killed it. You know, it damaged it, and it's not going to really come back. So, but yeah, things are definitely going to be done different. That's for sure. Like I said, I'm not going to say what they are because I want people to find out the hard way. Because apparently that's the only way they're ever going to learn anything. You know, is that they have to learn the hard way. Because they're too stupid to learn it the normal way when you just give them a warning. And, you know, some do, but some don't. So, but yeah, not much happened after. I mean, a lot happened after that. But like I said, it was just trespassers again. But it wasn't related to these brethrens. You know, it was just ordinary people because they were mad. And things did get out of control there for a while. And I guess people just kind of got over it. You know, they're growing up a little bit. That's the problem. People didn't want to grow up. You know, they wanted to learn shit. They wanted to keep having their fun. Well, you know, your fun can get somebody killed at some point. You know, there was even a video I had posted, I think last year, about people that they were taking it too far. You know, because there's a lot of things going on, a lot of trespassers, and then we had a killer clown guy walk past my house. You know, that was a joke. But, you know, see, in a big city, if you did that, you're definitely going to have you're either going to have the cops called on you because they don't know what you're up to, or you're going to get shot at, you know, because there's just some people out there that don't want to put up with people that want to do crimes. You know, they have a zero tolerance for that in their life. So, you know, that's kind of what the cops are for. They're there to control it, but the cops can only really do so much too. So, but since there's all this trespassing going on, there were only 2 people so far that did man up and apologize for what they did. One was that killer clown guy. If you guys want to see that video, I'll post the link in the description below. And it was actually the neighbor to the north of us. He trespassed on our land. Of course, he's been kind of doing that on and off, but I finally caught him last winter. I caught him on video going right from our property to his house. And can't really remember what happened after that. I don't think we called the cops, but I did make a video of it, posted it on my channel. Obviously, those people do watch my videos, so they went and told him, and then he went and apologized to my grandma. So there were 2 people that at least apologized for what they did, because they knew what they did was wrong, and for the killer clown thing, that was just stupid. That's how you get killed, man. I mean, yeah, he didn't come onto my property, but you know, the thing is I don't know what he's going to do. I don't know if I stand in my driveway, if he's going to come running after me with a fucking knife. I don't know that. He may just be just a guy that's fucking drunk out of his mind, wanting to walk around town like a clown. Well, you know, I don't know that. Nobody knows that. Nobody knows what that clown guy was thinking except the clown guy himself. Only he knew what he was thinking. Man, I really want you to go try that in a big city because if you do, I can guarantee you're going to get blown away. You know, I understand that you were trying to pull some kind of a stupid prank or something, but that's how you get killed. That's how you get killed. That's how you get seriously messed up. You know, if you ain't going home, if you ain't going in a body bag, you're at least leaving in the back of a damn ambulance. going to the hospital for a broken jaw or a broken arm, or at least some missing teeth. But I mean, is it worth it? Was all this pain and suffering worth that 10 seconds or whatever of running around like a clown? You know, that's the problem. So, but yeah, so that's what's been going on here over the few years since that video. Because I mean, I've been making videos of it, but I know you guys don't watch all my videos. You know, and that's fine. I don't expect you guys to anyway. But some people were asking for an update, so here's our update. Well, that's what's been going on. There's been a lot of chaos after that, but it's starting to kind of mellow out. It's been good the last year and a half. Things have kind of started calming down, which is a good thing. Not saying it's going to stop 100%, but at least if it slows down, you know, that's a good thing. So, it needs to stop, but unfortunately it's not going to, not unless you fence it off. And unfortunately that's going to cost probably, you know, well, you're probably talking at least 5,000 plus, you know, because you got to get good tall fence posts, some good barbed wire, and you need at least 50,000 strands of that, or 50,000 rolls, you know. And then you need to buy some gates so you can gate off your places that you go in and out of. So that all costs money, and unfortunately we don't have that kind of money floating around. So, but it is what it is, right? So, but I figured I'd just give you guys a little update to what's going on. Obviously we haven't been talking. Haven't seen his kids do anything since then. I'm not really sure how old they would be now, but here's another kicker too, and this is what I keep forgetting to tell everybody too. At the time when those kids were driving that Jeep, they were driving on public roads, and they're under the age of 16. You can't get your driver's license until you're at least 16 or older. These kids were probably at least 12 or 13, maybe 14 years old. You know, they are very young, shouldn't be driving a 5,000 pound car without a license. If they were to have gotten into an accident, the father would be screwed. Doesn't matter if he has insurance or not, it's the point that his kids do not have a license. They are not even legal to drive. They're not of legal age to drive. You got to be at least 16 or older to drive on public roadways. If you're just driving around on your own property, that's legal. Then your kids can drive. I mean, I started driving when I was 7, but I was driving on my own property where I wasn't breaking any laws. I wasn't putting others at risk besides myself. You know, I started driving tractors when I was 5 or when I was 7. Sure, you don't need a license to drive a tractor, but that was the first thing I ever drove was a tractor. And then from a tractor, went to one of our old pickups that we had. Now that pickup's retired, it's not going anywhere, transmission's blown, so that was the first thing I drove, you know, for an actual vehicle, was a pickup. And of course, I drove it on my property. You know, I didn't drive on public roadways because it was illegal to do so. So, but I guess, you know, since you live in a small hick town like this, your kids can do whatever the hell they want, you know. You can drive, you know, they can drive illegally. But if those kids were have gotten into an accident, they would have been screwed. You know, the father would have been fucked because he probably would have lost his license too because of his recklessness. Of just saying, oh, go ahead and take my car, kids, go drive it around, go have fun, just get out of my hair. You know, kind of thing, right? So, I mean, he would have been screwed. I don't know what the fuck he was thinking. They could have, I mean, if he wants them to drive young, then do it on private property. Go do it on your own property. Or go, you know, go find your friend's property or something, you know. Don't come on somebody else's and do it, and don't be driving on public roadways, putting others at risk. You know. So, but that was another big thing there too, is that his kids were driving illegally, and that's what you guys didn't know. you guys were probably thinking, oh, maybe he was 16, 17 years old. Okay, yeah, you're still a minor at that time, you know. And yeah, you can get your license at 16, but they weren't 16 years old. They were well under that. And unfortunately, yeah, it could have really went bad for the father if they would have gotten into an accident. You know, but that's the father's fault for being careless. But that's what's going on. I figured to let you guys know that's what's been going on. That, you know, we haven't really talked since, and I haven't been seeing them driving on our property. So kind of just that's what's been going on. But hopefully that answers some of your guys' questions. If you guys have any more questions or something, you can let me know. Just post it in the comment section below. I'll try to answer it if I can. That's everyone. Some people were asking for an update. Well, there's your update. That's really all that's been going on. It's just that, you know, he hasn't been doing anything since, and that's what the kids have been doing. You know. And that we were on a public dike when we were talking, so that, you know, couldn't have really done much there. Private, if it was private property, then yeah, then I probably could have kicked his ass, you know, chewed his ass out, but yeah. But things are definitely going to change from starting now on going forward. It's just, there's going to be a lot more questions involved, and there's going to be a lot more videotaping and pictures and stuff, you know, and if people don't like it, well, then that's your sign to stay the hell off, you know. I'm not going to put up with your trespassing bullshit anymore. It's done and over with now. You can stop. So, but yeah, anyways, guys, I hope you are not bored, not falling asleep yet from this long video. I tried to make it as short as possible. It's shorter than what my last one was. I did make this video before, but it was too long. So I want to make it a little shorter, but yeah. So I guess that's pretty much it then. Like I said, if you guys got questions, let me know, and whatever else. So, yeah. But anyways, guys, I guess I'm going to take off. So I guess have a good day and stuff. So yeah. Thanks for watching, guys. Take care easy.